Today we're going to begin looking at learning target 1.8, which is solving one- and two-step inequalities. And today we're actually just going to focus on one-step inequalities. When you're doing this, the steps are the same as when you solve an equation. So our goal is to get a variable by itself using inverse operations. The only difference is that anytime you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, you must flip the inequality symbol. And this is where most people make their mistakes. And then finally, you need to graph the solution on the number line like we did in the last lesson. So let's go ahead and do something. Okay, first problem, solve each inequality, graph the solutions. So notice in this problem, I have x plus 12 is less than 20. We're going to draw our line through that inequality sign just like we did with an equation. And I'm going to put a box around my x. Okay, ask yourself, what do I need to cancel to get that x alone? And you'll notice that I have that plus 12 there. So to cancel a plus 12, we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. So when I do that, I'm left with x. I bring my sign straight down. And then 20 minus 12 is 8. So my answer here is x is less than 8. I'm going to go ahead and graph this on the number line. So you remember yesterday I said that you didn't have to write all of your numbers down from negative 10 to 10. So I'm just going to put the 8 in the middle so I know it fits. And then label some numbers on the other sides on each side of 8. And then I need to ask myself, do I have an open dot or closed dot? And remember that if there's no line, then I don't fill it in. So I have open dot. And then as long as my variable's first, this tells me which way to shade, and it's pointing to the left. So we're going to go ahead and do this to the left. And then you're done with that problem. Let's go ahead and do a couple more. Okay, for B, same thing. Draw your line through your inequality. D minus 5 is greater than negative 7. If I put a box around my D, I need to cancel that minus 5. So to cancel minus 5, I'm going to do plus 5 on both sides. So those cancel. I'm left with D. Bring my sign down. And then negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. So my D is alone. I have D is greater than negative 2. So on my number line, I put a negative 2, negative 1, 0. Negative 3, negative 4 should be enough. Okay, now, is this going to be an open dot or closed dot on my number line? Well, there's no equal sign, so there's no filling it in. And then, my variable's first, and it points to the right, so this tells me to go to the right. Two answers there. Okay, last one on this page. Same idea, we're going to draw our line through our inequality. This time, notice I have 0.9 is greater than or equal to n minus 0.3. Well, my n's on the right side, but I'm still going to do the same thing. Put a box around my n. I need to cancel that minus 0.3. So the opposite of minus is plus 0.3. So those cancel. Bring this down. 1.2 is greater than or equal to n. Now, here's the problem. When we were graphing yesterday, I told you that it's really easy as long as your variable's first. Make sure when you're solving this, you bring them straight down. And then at the very end, if we need to, we're going to flip everything over so that our variable comes first. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, negative 1 there. And then 1.2 is about right here. And then this time, because it has the equal to sign, that means I fill in my point. And now that my variable's first, it tells me I'm going to shade to the left. So there's my number line and my answer. Okay, so before you graph it, make sure your variable comes first. Don't just change spots because you're going to have to flip everything over. Okay, I'm going to leave those for you to try. Let's do a couple more. Okay, same idea here. We're going to solve. Remember that if a number is right next to a variable, we have to divide. So if I have 7x, that means 7 times x. So I'm going to divide by 7 on both sides. Now, ask yourself before you do anything else, was that 7 positive or negative? This was actually positive, so that means I don't have to change anything. So I have x is greater than, and then negative 42 divided by 7 is negative 6. Variables first, so we're good. I'm going to go ahead and put my negative 6 on the number line, negative 5, negative 4, negative 7, and negative 8. And I'm going to ask myself, will this be an open dot or a closed dot? And this one will actually be open because there is not a line underneath. And then we're going to shade to the right because that's the way our arrow is pointing. Okay, so next problem. Draw my line through my inequality symbol. My line here. This time I have 4 is less than or equal to m divided by 3. Now remember, to cancel division, we need to multiply by that number on both sides. So I'm going to multiply by 3 on both sides. 3 times 4 is 12. Bring your sign down because it was a positive number. And then those cancel, so I have m. Okay, can't graph right now because the m is not first. So I'm going to flip everything over. I'm going to switch those spots and I'm going to flip my sign as well. So on my number line, I have 12, 13, 14, 11, and 10. Okay, I'm going to ask myself, do I have an open dot or closed dot? And this one has a closed dot because of the equal to line, equal to bar. And then it's going to show me to shade to the right. Okay, one last one. A lot of us struggled with these because there's a fraction there. We can do this in 2 steps if we want to. The first thing I need to do is multiply by 4 on both sides. So those cancel. So I'm left with 3 times r is less than 48. And then divide by 3 on both sides to find that r is less than 16. So this is my answer. R is less than 16. 16, 17, 18, 15, 14. And then this one again has an open dot because there's not a line there. So it did an open dot, and this arrow is pointing to the left, so it's telling me to shade that direction. Okay. Again, a few more problems that we're going to do. These are very similar, same idea. To get rid of that negative 12, do not add 12 to both sides. We need to divide by negative 12. Now notice, I divided by a negative number on both sides. So, if I do that, I need to flip my inequality sign over so that it looks like this, because I had that negative sign. And then 84 divided by negative 12 is negative 7. So I have x is less than negative 7 since we flipped our sign over. Okay, and then when you graph this, we have an open dot again at the negative 7 because there's no line there, and we are going to shade to the left. So there's our final answer. Okay, and then last one here, same idea. X divided by negative 3. To get rid of that division, we need to multiply by negative 3 on both sides. Now this time, because it's a negative number, again, we need to flip our sign over. So we now multiply by a negative number on both sides, so flip our sign. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. The right side cancels, so I have that. And then remember, I can't graph unless the variable's first. I shouldn't say that. I can graph, but it's easier to graph if my variable's first. So I'm going to flip everything over, and then go ahead and plot this. That's a positive 24. Okay, and then this one is going to have a closed dot because it has that equal to bar. And then this is shading to the left now because we flipped our sign. Okay, so steps are the same. The only difference is that you need to remember to flip your inequality sign if you multiply or divide by a negative number.